Good evening. Welcome to Northbeat. I'm Megan Roberts. We begin in the Yukon, where the Notchonayak First Nation wants all mining activity on its traditional lands to stop. This comes after a landslide at the Eagle Gold Mine near Mayo, which the First Nation calls potentially catastrophic. The slide damaged infrastructure and halted operations. One big question that's still unanswered is whether cyanide solution used in the processing at the mine got into groundwater. Notchonayak is demanding an immediate investigation. The First Nation is also calling for a land use plan that limits development and includes rigorous oversight and enforcement of mining on its land. Meanwhile, the Yukon's Energy, Mines and Resources Minister says the territorial government is getting daily updates from the mine on this situation. The Yukon government hasn't issued any drinking water advisories for the area. The government has also yet to release the results of water tests conducted at the site last week. John Stryker says he can't rule out the possibility that cyanide has made it into the water.
But it is certain that there is a solution which is contacting the ground, and that ground is in Dublin Gulch, which is like an old placer ground, which is usually very gravelly, and that means that can get into the groundwater, and that's one of our two big risks. Could we have seen that coming? Could we have done something? I'm not sure yet. I think what we do need to learn from this, it's really important because we don't want these types of accidents. They're awful. No one wanted this. The mine didn't, the First Nation didn't, Yukoners didn't.
It's still unclear how much cyanide has escaped into the environment. Results for water tests are expected tomorrow. Problems with the pipeline that caused a large fuel spill in Pond Inlet last month may have begun as early as December, according to the government of Nunavut. 7,000 liters of diesel leaked out of a broken pipe, most of it spilling into the ocean. It's believed the pipe broke due to cold weather. Pond Inlet's mayor says the fuel was producing a noticeable smell in the area.
On the Canada Day, we were going to have a contest for scorpions down by the beach. That was canceled because of the smell.
He says some marine animals like seals and fish are steering clear of the area as well. Emily He is an expert in renewable energy in remote communities. She's worried about the fuel being left in the water. She points to the impacts of the state of emergency in Iqaluit in 2021, which was triggered by a fuel spill.
Residents were unable to access clean drinking water for weeks in the city's systems. So I think that example really highlights the need for urgent action.
Nunavut's Petroleum Products Division says crews are now cleaning up the fuel spill on the ice and the shoreline. That work is expected to continue for at least another week. The repairs to the pipe are expected to be completed before the upcoming fuel resupply on August 20th. Residents are advised to stay away from the affected areas for another 2 weeks. A tuberculosis outbreak has been declared in Yellowknife. The government of the Northwest Territories has identified 2 cases. The acting chief public health officer of the NWT says the first case was identified about a week ago. The second was found over the weekend and confirmed to be related to the first one. Both are linked to a case from 2023. Dr. Andre Corvo says there's a lot of work involved with contact tracing.
For that reason, because of the extent of contact tracing that will need to be done, we sort of are, for the purpose of our public health system and the healthcare system, declaring it as an outbreak just because of the volume of work that's going to be involved in following up all these cases.
Corvo says the average person in Yellowknife doesn't need to be worried. He says the territory has seen about 25 official cases of TB in the last 10 years. Yellowknife Public Health says it has reduced its services for the time being as a result of this outbreak. It says no new appointments will be booked unless identified as urgent. It says that will ensure appointments are available for individuals who require follow-up related to the outbreak. As well, we have just learned that Corriveau's office wants anyone who is at the Stanton Hospital emergency room on Wednesday, June 19th, between 9 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. to call 811 because they might have been exposed. The chief of DEDA Northwest Territories says his community is ready to host the Dene National Assembly. The big annual event was supposed to take place in Fort Good Hope later this month, but the nearby wildfire is still too close for comfort. Rowan Fleary has that story.
There was little choice but to relocate the assembly. That's according to Wilbert Kashan, the Satu Dene Council Grand Chief. He says the fire is still too close. And there's no word when people will be allowed back into the community.
They think they're still going to be out for another 2 weeks, and that's kind of, they want to give them time to get ready. They have to take care of themselves too.
I spoke to Satu MLA Daniel McNeely. He told me most of the community right now is experiencing low morale, high frustration, and mental illness is getting very concerning. He told me it's unfortunate that the assembly had to be moved. But DEDA's chief says they are ready to host the big event. Chief Ernest Betsina says it was important to provide support and partner with the Dene Nation.
The Dene Nation is taking care of all the logistics. They are doing all the coordination. We are just providing the Chief Draghi Center.
Betsina says DEDA has hosted the assembly before, and he's excited for people to come to his community from across the territories. The Dene National Assembly will be hosted from July 23rd to 25th. Rowan Fleary, CBC News, Yellowknife.
A large solar plant in the NWT is now producing power. It's at Rio Tinto's Diavik Diamond Mine. But with the mine drawing to a close, the future of this new infrastructure is a bit unclear. The CBC's Leanie Lambrink explains.
This is one of the North's biggest solar power plants. It's about the size of 7 city blocks, a total of 6,620 panels in all.
They're installed in 23 different rows of panels. They're 2 panels high on top of a galvanized steel racking. The foundation is innovative in that it's a gabion basket, which is a wire mesh basket filled with gravel. Meaning that it is meant to be easily disassembled at the end of the mine life and ideally relocated somewhere else in the north.
NWT's finance minister says the power plant becoming operational is exciting.
It's often difficult, for governments or small community governments in particular to be the first ones at the gate with new technologies. But when industry can go in and maybe prove out that technology, that certainly, again, it helps the story for everybody in the north who's looking for alternatives right now.
Most of the money for the power plant comes from carbon tax Diavik has paid over the years. Gachou has amassed $2.1 million it could use for a green energy project, and Acadie $2.2 million.
Both of the other diamond mines are making, I think, pretty serious inquiries of things that they're looking to do as well. So they just needed to have the time to think through what could make that kind of a difference, what kinds of projects it would be.
But all 3 NWT mines are heading toward closure, and thus an obvious question. What's going to happen to Diavik's new solar plant when the mine closes in 5 years?
Certainly not looking to profit off of the solar panels, more in the nature of the positive legacy aspect. I think that would be the most constructive.
Stevenson says Rio Tinto hasn't made any commitments yet. Diavik is slated to close in 2029. Leanie Lambrink, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Solar energy isn't just a hot topic in the north. Global investment in solar power now tops all other energy generation technologies combined. That's according to a new report from the International Energy Agency. In Europe, the Netherlands leads the way in the solar revolution. Susan Ormiston brings us that story from one of the country's rooftops.
This is a picture of progress in renewable energy. These are mounting structures for 1,700 new solar panels on top of previously an empty industrial roof. It's one of the ideas in the Netherlands to reuse empty space to put solar on top. because land here is expensive and valuable for agriculture. So this is one of the solutions. The Netherlands is rocketing in renewable energy. Per capita, there's more solar here than anywhere else in Europe, about 2 solar panels per person.
Our company wins. I think the environment wins as well because we're placing it on a roof. I think the whole of the Netherlands wins because we are building a greener future together.
Growth here has been helped by energy subsidy schemes and by the lowering cost of solar components, down 50% last year. Also by ambitious targets to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the Netherlands. But there is concern with recent political trends that some governments may not be as keen to support renewable growth, and that uncertainty can make business nervous.
That is really important for politicians to realize. Unclarity in regulation means a risk for businesses because we cannot build our business plans the way we had thought we should do it.
The energy produced here will be fed into the grid and powers about 300 Dutch homes. That's the idea, the business model behind this company, and they're growing. Susan Ormiston, CBC News in Dordrecht, the Netherlands.
The Nordica Degonier fuel supply tanker is stranded off the coast of the Kivadluk due to ice conditions. The cargo ship has been attempting to anchor near Rankin Inlet. It's waiting for an icebreaker to clear the way, but officials say even that vessel is being affected by the ice.
You know, with ice conditions the way they are right now, we're a bit delayed, but this was not unexpected. You know, early in the season, ice is a little bit unpredictable, so we try and get there as safely as we can.
Tatwini says it'll take a few more days before the ship can access the port. While people in Rankin Inlet wait anxiously for their cargo, the Coast Guard has been patrolling the area by helicopters in hopes of finding a safe passage for the ships.
Does public transit really need more police officers? And so this is it.
Welcome to the Greenbelt.
It is now believed the Titan was destroyed. It makes sense that they get a larger share, or does it?
All of this, just single detached homes.
Yes.
What do we know? How is that even possible? Well, with a little bit of help, I think we can explain it.
About that with Andrew Chang. Watch free on CBC Gem.
When we see Team Canada on the world stage, we're witnessing pure greatness. What we don't see is their struggle. We don't see Maggie McNeil navigating her anxiety, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander getting cut from his high school team, or Ellie Black hearing she's just too old to compete. What we don't see makes us who we are. We're all bravely facing the odds in our lives, and our bravery is our victory.
I'm such a fan of this show.
Listen to the podcast, Q with Tom Power.
The story itself is so unbelievable.
The industry wasn't set up for me to thrive in.
The presence I feel now is not something that I believed to be possible in the past.
So many people thought I couldn't do it. They doubted me.
I felt like I ripped my whole heart out.
I didn't realize how formative 25 to 30 would be.
I have to kind of repress my own self-doubt.
You're one of my favorite interviewers. I was pumped.
Get out of here.
Q with Tom Power. Available now on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is unbelievable.
The heart and soul of any city is best served on a plate.
Très bon. Merci.
I have some women to tell you about. You don't know them, but you will.
Thank you for choosing Plan B.
Tell me what I need to do to save my family.
Please enter your date of travel.
I can't do this anymore.
If you could go back, change things, would you do it?
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau faced reporters today for the first time since the Liberals lost a by-election last week. Questions about his leadership dominated the event. As Ashley Burke reports, divisions in the caucus about Trudeau's future persist.
What's your name?
The Prime Minister back in his own riding, showing his constituents and cameras he's not going anywhere, despite calls to step down.
Last week's by-election loss, not to sugarcoat it, was challenging. Was something we need to take seriously.
That stunning by-election loss cost the Liberals a longtime seat in Toronto St. Paul's, caused division in caucus, and led Liberal MP Wayne Long to call for Trudeau to go. Privately, another Liberal MP told CBC News there are a number of MPs now considering if they'll run again if Trudeau stays on.
Are you willing to stay on and lose members of your caucus?
I think the conversations that I'm having with MPs directly right across the country, the conversations that we're all having as Liberals are going to continue.
But that source said every member of caucus deserves a call, not just a select few, as ministers continue to defend Trudeau publicly.
I think he is the right leader for us. He's won 3 elections. We formed government 3 times.
Others were asked if they'd run for leader if Trudeau steps down.
I have been very clear over the last few days that Justin Trudeau is the leader of the Liberal Party of Canada. I support him, obviously.
Winnipeg North MP Kevin Lamoureux says he's not pressing panic and will only run again in the next election if Trudeau does.
I've made a commitment to Justin Trudeau to be a candidate in the next election. I'm committed to running as long as he is the leader.
9 Liberal MPs have signed a letter calling for an immediate caucus meeting to talk about the by-election loss. But today, Trudeau dodged questions about if he'll do that. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Flight cancellations after the recent WestJet strike have many passengers wondering about their rights. More than a year ago, the federal government proposed new rules to simplify compensation regulations, but the changes have yet to take effect. Sophia Harris has that story.
Retired RCMP officer Norm Massey enjoyed his trip to Vancouver, attending a youth basketball tournament he co-founded. But he didn't enjoy the trip home. His flight was delayed more than 14 hours.
So what was that like to spend 14 hours in the airport?
I'll tell you, it's not pleasant at all.
Air Canada rejected his claim for compensation. In an email to Massey, Air Canada blamed unforeseen maintenance, which was within its control but required for safety-related reasons. Under current regulations, airlines must pay compensation up to $1,000 for delays within their control, unless they're safety-related.
Do you think that they're just using the safety clause to deny you compensation?
Absolutely. That's what I feel. And until they prove otherwise, that's the way I'll continue to feel.
Massey has company. The Canadian Transportation Agency has a backlog of more than 72,000 air passenger complaints, many over compensation for flight disruptions.
There will be no more loopholes.
More than a year ago, Ottawa proposed new rules to simplify the compensation process and close supposed loopholes, like the required for safety category.
It's a huge gray area that really only the carriers can take advantage of.
This consumer advocate believes the new rules should have arrived by now.
This is really becoming a very long delay, and it's very unfortunate for passengers.
There's a regulatory process. It takes a certain amount of time.
The CTA says it must consider all sides before changing the current regulations.
We are looking at how to factor in the airline input as well as the consumer advocacy input that we receive.
Airlines argue getting rid of the safety exception penalizes airlines for taking safety precautions that delay flights. Meanwhile, Ottawa has yet to announce an arrival date for when those new rules will land. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
A bright and prosperous economic future. That is what NWT officials say a new agreement with Alberta will bring. Alberta and the Northwest Territories have signed a memorandum of understanding to advance economic corridors between the two jurisdictions. Essentially, this is recognizing the close relationship between the territory and province and agreeing to work together. Ministers from Alberta and the NWT say an economic corridor can include cooperation on physical infrastructure like roads and railways, as well as cooperation on the administrative side, like sharing policies and regulations to cut down on red tape. Ministers from the two jurisdictions say this will boost trade, attract investment, and promote economic growth. Here's NWT Deputy Premier Caroline Wozniak speaking about this agreement in Calgary today.
We already have the physical sharing. I mean, we have shared railway line, shared highways, shared aviation routes. But are we doing enough to actually make sure that some of the regulations that apply to all of those routes are properly harmonized, that we're maximizing opportunities to deal with labor shortages that we're both seeing in all of those areas? And this is one of those areas where now we have an action plan and a formal structure that allows governments to have these lines of communication open. I mean, and that's, if you're asking about the process that we got here, it was actually setting up some of those communication lines between the right people in the right levels of government who can make these decisions and drive these kinds of changes. So it's that process itself, which hopefully will continue forward with this now.
That was Caroline Wozniak, NWT Minister of Infrastructure and Finance, speaking about a new economic agreement between the NWT and Alberta. Well, any parent knows that child tantrums can be hard to handle, and it's no secret that a tablet or a smartphone may buy parents a few moments of peace. But new research suggests that when they give kids digital devices to calm them down, it could impact how the child manages their emotions in the future. Tashana Reid has the details.
A team of researchers from Canada and Hungary surveyed 300 Canadian families in Nova Scotia with children 2 to 5 years old. The results were published in the journal Frontiers in Child and Adolescent Psychiatry. Parents reported how often they use digital devices to calm their children or to stop a tantrum. Then investigators followed up 1 year later. They found the more often parents gave their kids screens or digital devices, the more they reported higher anger and frustration in their children. The paper adds to growing research about the impacts of screen time on young kids, from language delays to attention problems.
It again drives home the point that screens used as a calming strategy becomes a vicious cycle. In the long term, it actually creates more of a problem, because then it's harder for that child to learn any new skills without the screen.
Experts say it's important for parents to teach their kids how to handle difficult situations without a screen. And not all screen time is bad, especially when the child is using the device with the parent. Things like video chats with family or virtual stories or music time can be beneficial, or on occasion, if parents just need a breather.
You're frustrated, the day has not gone well, your child is tired and hungry, and you're just buying some time for yourself to calm down, and they're using the device. You know, this is not the worst parenting decision in the world that you've ever made.
Still, experts say parents should not over-rely on screens. The Canadian Pediatric Society says it's important for parents to set strict time limits, ensure content is age-appropriate and educational, and be sure to monitor their own screen time in front of their children. Tashana Reid, CBC News, Toronto.
The tradition of the horseback ride to the popular Williams Lake Stampede has been rekindled in recent years by a BC First Nation. They say it's geared towards young people and meant to build community. Take a look.
Traditionally, the Williams Lake Stampede has always been a big part of our nation. Our members used to always come in from the time the rodeo started, and for many years our people rode horses into the Stampede and participated in the Stampede. We were a horse culture people. We all own horses and we grew up on horses, and that way of life seemed to be dying off, and this is also an attempt to try to revive that culture. We start with the ride into Williams Lake. You know, a 3-day ride. We spend it out as much as we can, make it a 5-day event. And
when we're not doing the ride, I do have livestock. I cattle. Yeah. And she helps me chase my cattle to the range, and if we have to sort, she helps me sort. So she's pretty good. It gets me out on the land, you know, away from my computer work and stuff, because I do work in the office also. So just to ground myself with the horse. We gear for the youth to get away from the technologies and alcohol and drug prevention also, because a lot of our youth, that's where they're pulling towards. So we do this for the youth.
Just learning how to do everything, like cinch a horse up, saddle it, put a halter on and stuff like that, and learning how to ride better.
A lot of these kids and youth, this is the only time they'll get a chance to camp out during the year. So they all look forward to it, and it's community time. Everybody wants to belong to something, a cause or a group, and we provide that for them. And not everybody's into horses, so we added bikes. So we have every year probably about 100 bicycle riders as well. It's a chance just to have fun together and to remember, the origins of the Stampede and what our people used to do to get here.
And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. Have a good night.
Her particular skill set can be helpful to us.
She's a con artist.
Instead of using your talents for crime, you'll be playing on our team. I'm a cop.
You're not a cop. You have a badge?
Not yet.
A gun?
Soon.
Not ever.
I need to get off that boat and back to being a full-time detective, and you need to stay out of prison. The best way we do that is to keep our heads down and do as we're told.
90,000.
90,000.
The department will cover it, right?
No, they won't.
I was a grade 9.
Mr. Critch, you need glasses. Glasses? No, I just think the chalk is just a little soft.
One of these days, we're gonna have to grow up. But today is not that day.
I don't want us to get older either.
Son of a Critch. Watch free on CBC Gem.
Are you ready to be entertained?
Stand-up comedy best comedians from across the globe.
Oh, great.
An incredible lineup.
Canada.
Are you ready? Oh.
Are you kidding me? CBC's got the best in stand-up comedy.
That's pretty unbelievable, man.
It's a scam. It's a scam.
No f***ing way.
Ooh, it's a bit spicy.
It'll change your life.
Catch it all free on CBC Gem. Well done.
Y'all give it up. Give it up. Give it up.
We're not gonna be here forever, right? Makes me want to make some changes, maybe a big one.
Your family can't take much more.
Anyone in your life know you're doing that?
Never really a good time to stir the pot.
I did not know what my future would look like.
The industry wasn't set up for me to thrive in.
I didn't realize how formative 25 to 30 would be.
I was so excited when they said I got to do an interview with you.
Q with Tom Power. Available now on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
So, you want to watch CBC News Explore, a new kind of news channel. Here's how to find us. We're on the CBC News app, on CBC Gem, and on your smart TV. Stream anytime. It's always free. CBC News Explore.
People dream of seeing the world, but I'm here to eat it. I genuinely love you. I'm here to show you the 12 dishes that define a city. Très bon, merci.